Disk destruction. Uh, Moving on to our next story for the week, we've got RAM manufacturers accused of price fixing.
Yay!
So what's
Another
going on?
lawsuit.
Yeah, it's almost like everybody could kind of feel the tingle. We all could see this coming from a mile away.
My spider sensors were tingling.
Yeah, right. So what's going on? A new class action lawsuit has been filed against the world's three largest DRAM manufacturers, Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. The lawsuit was filed by 14 individual consumers and three businesses. Plaintiffs allege the companies artificially restricted the supply of DRAM memory to keep the prices higher than they should have been. If true, consumers may have been paying inflated prices for PC games, graphics cards, laptops, mini PCs, servers, and memory upgrades. The lawsuit isn't claiming RAM became expensive naturally. It alleges the companies intentionally made it expensive by shorting their uh, their stock,
Yeah.
essentially. They just we covered this on the thing when Micron was like, yeah, we're just gonna stop making we're gonna stop making
Traditional RAM, and we're going to start making more of the AI RAM.
what's crazy was they announced that, right? They were just like, "Hey, man, we're not going to focus on RAM anymore. We're just going to do AI." And that was the minute that everything spiked.
Oh yeah.
And Sony didn't up their production, and neither did SK Hybrid, you know.
Hmm.
And RAM is one of those things where it's too expensive to just like you can't just get like a fucking RAM manufacturing company going overnight. It's
We talked
impossible.
about it.
It's so I'm still looking for investors, by the way.
Yeah, I know, dudes.
If anyone wants to start a RAM manufacturing company, hit me up.
There's
Good
a lot of
investment.
money here, man.
Yeah, good investment. So, but yeah, I think it's funny how we went from almost like an inkling. Like on the podcast, we've said this many times. Like something's going on. There's no reason why these prices are what they are and how they're climbing. How they're climbing. I mean, you would think that if if SK Hybrid was getting paid $1,500 for two 16 gigabyte sticks of RAM, they would be going ultra mode and just manufacturing the hell out of RAM so they can get as much as possible. Right?
Yeah.
They can but you're not seeing that at all. You're not seeing
No,
that
and they've
at
even
all.
stated that they weren't going to upgrade, or they weren't going to pick up the pace. They weren't going to do any more.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
Mm-hmm.
everybody signed the same memo.
Mm-hmm.
Hey
Mm-hmm.
guys, if we do this, then we can make some serious bank. We can drive up those prices, and and then this will force people to use older hardware, which means after all this blows over, they're still going to have to buy new hardware anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gross.
So what does the lawsuit allege? The lawsuit claims the manufacturers coordinated production levels rather than competing against one another. By limiting the amount of DRAM entering the market, prices allegedly remained artificially high. Plaintiffs argued this violated antitrust and competition laws. The companies have denied wrongdoing, and none of these allegations have been proven in court.
I had to put that in script so I didn't get sued.
Yeah.
But no, of course they're gonna say they haven't done anything fucking wrong. It's crazy. Uh, you know,
I would
I
like
would
to see
actually.
them be able to prove this. That would help me. And I mean, it makes sense because we've been saying how AI has caused the shortage in RAM, right? But in all actuality, AI is a completely different RAM source. First of all, it uses different memory than traditional RAM does, or even traditional memory. So it didn't make sense that because AI uses RAM, it's a different kind of RAM. It doesn't make sense that the RAM price is inflated. But I think what gave us the intention that RAM prices should go up is the fact that that one company, Micron, uh, stated that they weren't going to be doing any more traditional RAM, that they were going to be switching over to AI. So I guess that
Mm.
kind of disguised what was going on. And Micron is one of the bigger companies, that one of the three that makes majority of the RAM for consumers.
Not anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would make sense that this is what happened, but I mean, for all three of them to just kind of not try, or the other two to at least not try to fill that market space, I think you're right, Pat. I totally think that Micron came out with their statement to kind
Well,
of
and not just
give them
that,
a
but
fallback.
right after, and we've reported this on the podcast as well, but right after Micron did, Sony was like, well, we can't upgrade because then we'll be a monopoly.
Yeah,
But instead of y'all upgrading and being a monopoly, you just not do anything at all and be a duopoly. Hmm. Okay.
yeah, and then just
Um.
keep everything at like slower than normal pacing.
Yeah.
It's just like, now that we're
And
breaking it down, it makes a lot more sense.
yeah,
And
and if they can get in court and get discovery and prove that there were insider communications and they're discussing like production levels and basically price fixing, um
I
that's gonna
think
be huge
everybody's
news.
I think everybody's going to be kicking it in overdrive to put out RAM.
That's
So
gonna
I
be
think
huge news. It's gonna be huge news because this doesn't just affect the US. This is a global
it's a global
issue.
market. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a global issue. So, and I would hope some motherfuckers go to jail for that shit. Although they
I
probably won't.
I don't think they will, because there's such a market gap there. If they find them into oblivion, you know what I mean? Like, if they do
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
that's detrimental to any one of these three, that'll end up shutting them down. That'll actually, I think, cause more harm than good. So I think what they need to do is instate stricter policies, like legislatively, and make it so that these companies have to adhere to, like, maybe a quota.
Well, they do.
This is just
They
dry
do.
shooting.
I mean, you're supposed. I mean, the market is supposed to reflect that, right? If you're obviously outselling your market, then you as a company should upgrade your production, right?
Yeah.
That's just how the free market works. It's supposed to, but if they're colluding behind closed doors to artificially inflate prices, so then that is protected. That is illegal. They
No, I
can't do that.
agree. I
Um,
understand. But if you do anything bad to, like, these three companies, they have
the
such a
issue
share in the market that I think it'll cause more harm than good. It'll cause a huge collapse.
the issue that we have is the price that these companies pay for price fixing. It doesn't match the crime, right? Like these three companies have made beyond billions. They've probably made trillions of dollars just from scamming the fuck out of their consumers. But they're only going to pay like a $200 million fine collectively. You know, they've made trillions and they're only going to pay a fraction of that to say you can't do that. I mean, if I was a company, and companies do this, where companies set aside money as a legal fund, not as a legal fund to pay the lawyers, but as a legal fund to pay out as a legal fund to pay out settlements.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is a, a pattern.
Well, so I mean, you said that you can't find them, or we've stated that you can't find them a lot to be able to, like, hurt the company. But, like, I mean, not for nothing, but the NBA does this all the time when they find their players. They find their players $5 million, right, from their $10 million contract. It doesn't hurt, but
Mhm.
it lets you know that you're not going to do it again, right? So while
But
$2 million is a fraction of the company, right? That $2 million is still the $2 million that they would have had at the end of the year.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that $2 million is calculated and put in and put into their lost expenses or whatever. So
Mhm.
this $2 million is actually not affecting them. This fine is not affecting them. Them essentially scamming all these people has become profit, not a misunderstanding or not a lesson that was learned. It's just profit.
Well, the other thing is that all comes with time. This is just speculation at this point. We don't know that how much they
You're
would
right.
charge them if they find them guilty or anything like that, or
No,
even if
you're
they
right. You're
can.
right.
We could totally find. Well, there could be an entire left turn here that we just don't see, and it could be from an entirely different third party, fourth party.
You're absolutely right. So, could this all be a conspiracy theory? Well,
I don't think
you'll be
so.
surprised. This isn't the first time DRAM manufacturers have faced these accusations. Following complaints in the early 2000s from Dell, Gateway, and other PC manufacturers, governments around the world launched investigations into the DRAM pricing. Investigators found evidence that several memory manufacturers had coordinated pricing instead of competing. Companies implicated in the lawsuit included Samsung, Micron, SK Hynix,
Huh.
Infineon, and Elpida. Huh,
So a
wow,
couple of those names
that's
sound
like,
familiar.
yeah, that's like 3 out of the 5 that were just named. Huh, that's
Huh.
strange. Several companies pleaded guilty. I wonder which one those were. And hundreds of millions of dollars in criminal fines were issued. This is what I'm saying, Sternsey. Hundreds of millions of
Yeah,
dollars
but that
were
was that was 10
in
that was
criminal
20 years
fines.
ago, dude.
That's what I'm saying. But this is hundreds of million dollars between 5 companies that were implicated.
20 years ago. The
That,
money has changed.
yeah, yeah, but still, you're looking at $50 million per company, which, yeah, 20 million, 20 years ago is a lot of money, but for a chip company, $50 million is still not a lot. That was $100 million in today's money. Still not a lot for a fucking multi-billion-dollar chip manufacturer.
Hmm. Okay, I see.
Executives also faced criminal charges in the United States, although none of them probably saw any kind of jail. This is one of the biggest reasons the current lawsuit is receiving so much attention. It wouldn't be the first time industries were caught doing this. So even though there's been no evidence and there's no anything, everyone's still like, yeah, they fucking did it because
It was all them. Everybody's
it's the
pointing
same
fingers.
fucking companies that are showing the same patterns of the same thing. That's what I'm saying, Sternsey. This goes back to my point. These companies are like, well, we could do that. Like this opportunity to do this scam has come up again. Do we do it and just pay a couple hundred, like $50 million, but we make billions of dollars on the back end, or do we just take the good side and not scam our consumers and we lose out on billions of dollars? Well, I can tell you as a soulless company, they're probably going to go with the latter.
Yeah. It's just easier to pay the fine.
It's cheaper. They can make
Yeah.
billions of dollars.
They print money.
Yeah,
I mean,
you gotta pay money to make money. You know that saying? Well, if you're gonna scam your customers, you might as well make it so the fines don't match the crime.
well, the other thing that kills me is, chip manufacturers also use gold. So the gold standard has a pretty high effect on chip manufacturers as well. So I'd like to see
And that's
what's
why
going
I
on with
say
the
gold's gone
gold
up.
standard.
Gold prices are through the roof.
Oh,
But that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
they've been
This
climbing.
is this has affected all aspects of the market, and that's why I'm saying if this was indeed fixed, there needs to be like people need to be put in fucking jail for the rest of their fucking lives.
I agree. But speaking of fixing, price fixing is more common than you think. Two major industries that have been in the headlines recently for the same allegations. Egg price fixing. Does anybody remember us talking about how eggs were so expensive?
Yeah, just a couple of fucking years ago. By the way, all of these cases just happened. By the
Yeah, they're
way,
just they're recent.
they're all recent as shit.
So DOJ plus 17 state AGS settled with three major egg producers: Calmaine Foods, Versova, and Hickman's Egg Ranch. Egg producers were accused of colluding to unlawful manipulate egg price benchmarks from June 2022 to March 2025. By coordinating their bids submitted to the industry's price index, egg prices hit a record $6.23 a dozen in March 2025 during the bird flu outbreak. Critics say companies extorted that crisis. Yeah, they did.
Next, yeah, they definitely they fucking and that was another thing I called it too. I was like, oh, how coincidental these fucking the what was it at the time? The price of gas, and now all of a sudden there's a bird flu
Yeah, the
outbreak,
bird
and
flu outbreak
oh
that
man,
caused them to lose a third of their flock or
how
whatnot.
how coincidental. Of course, these guys are they're gonna exploit the shit out of that. Everyone fucking knew they were.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing that we were talking about just last week when we were talking about one
Well,
of the games that was hopping on the traditional bandwagon that we have now of
also,
excuses of RAM.
it was those egg farmers who were mysteriously being burned down. You remember that,
Oh
Stearnsy? As someone
yeah.
was going around the country burning down all the egg farmers' hatcheries,
Oh jeez.
and the guy was never found. They think it was an environmentalist, but nobody could ever find
Nobody
him.
could find them, and
Hmm.
man, that settlement that they got from those insurance companies to rebuild sure did line their pocket.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a lot of thumbs up from the egg manufacturers and a lot of costs that are being put on the consumers just out of the blue.
So the settlement that they came up with after being found was $3.3 million in total, plus 53 million donated eggs to food banks. Food banks companies must adopt antitrust compliance programs and stop discussing pricing slash bids with competitors.
That's fucking crazy, dude. $3 million and 53 donated eggs for
53 million,
scamming
yeah.
53 million eggs to donate for scamming the entire country for over the course of 3 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's so dumb.
They made billions of dollars of profit from scamming people.
Yeah.
I remember going into Walmart and cuz me and Mrs. Flat, we eat a lot of eggs cuz we exercise, and it was like the 30 count of eggs are literally almost $35. That's fucking crazy. I'm paying almost $40 for 2 dozen eggs.
Dude, I had to ration eggs for the first time in my life over those 3 years. You know, I
Yeah,
up until that point, it was always eggs was a fallback food.
yeah, for like yeah, it's like, oh shit, we're broke, we can't afford chicken this week. Well, let's just get eggs to hit our
Eggs.
protein. Yeah, and then it became, oh shit, we can't get eggs. Well, let's just get chicken to hit
Hopefully,
our protein
hopefully we can. Yeah. Hopefully
because
the chicken
because
doesn't have the bird flu.
yeah, because animal protein was hell of a lot cheaper than just getting fucking eggs.
Yeah.
It was crazy, and these guys only paid $3 million. 3 fucking million. That's what I'm saying, Sternsey. The punishments don't fit the crimes, and they do that shit on purpose.
Yep. And I mean, we are talking about RAM prices here, and then, yeah, no, you're right. It's not okay. None of the companies admitted to wrongdoing. The settlement is currently awaiting court approval. And another one
Hmm.
was the HVAC price fixing case. I didn't hear about this one. This is the
This
second.
literally that there was news that dropped about this literally as I was writing the script.
I still haven't heard about this, so
Yeah,
I'm interested.
this This price fixing case is fresh, by the way.
So this is the second time a lawsuit has been filed against seven major manufacturers: Bosch, Carrier, Train, Dakin, Venix, Rheem, and Aon. AAON, no R. Who together control 90% of the US HVAC market. The suit is filed by a contractor in Michigan, federal court, following an earlier customer suit in March of 2026. The lawsuit alleges that the companies conspired since January 2020 to fix or raise prices using a trade publication, ACHR News, to signal upcoming price hikes to each other. Oh, plus
Hmm.
a data sharing exchange run by an industry trade group. Oh, so they had all the insider knowledge. This is insider trading, pretty much. Um, there
Well,
claims to
this
be
is
40 instances. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. There claims to be 40 instances of coordinating price moves, resulting in systems being about approximately 8% pricier than a competitive market would produce over 6 years. The HVAC companies deny the allegations. They say they'll fight the suits. Okay.
yeah, of course you will. Of course you will.
Yeah.
And by the way, like an 8% on an HVAC system is a lot of money. Like HVAC systems are like 20 fucking grand.
Yeah.
So for that to be like 8 to 10% pricier, you're talking about tens. You're talking about thousands of dollars. So like that's fucking crazy. And like the fact that this is the second lawsuit on these same fucking companies in the same year alleging the same thing. And you're gonna sit there and say that, oh, no, these aren't true. These allegations aren't true. Like you got like this is almost a class action lawsuit at this point.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. It's literally fucking crazy. And like I said, these price fixing cases have all come out within the 2 years.
I mean,
We
anybody
have
listening to this episode knows, because you're in that age bracket. They know about this, the bird flu egg crisis. That, I mean, that was very well documented, and I mean, everybody had conspiracy theories over as to whether or not it was actually bird flu, or whether it was, Trump making a decision, or there was so much that was said. And honestly, it makes so much sense that the
the
Ram.
corruption is wild.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it makes sense. They're printing money.
yeah, well, it just goes to show, like all this happened during COVID, bro. All of
Yeah.
all of these cases are COVID related.
Well, that's when
It
everybody was home, and that was when everybody was scared. That's when we were all able to be taken advantage of.
yeah, it's just it's so annoying that us as the American people can see it, and we could like we see the trend, we see it go up, we're shouting that it's all fake, and these companies gaslight us like we're fucking stupid. Like, what do you mean it's fake? These prices are because there's a bird flu right now, or these prices are because there's the oil prices are up right now, or these prices are up because, well, the licensing has gone up. But and then it turns out that they were all just bullshitting us from the fucking beginning. It's disgusting, and it makes me sick.
Yeah, they definitely need to be held accountable, and not just like you said, not just a slap on the wrist, because they're not getting the fact that this is you're fucking with everybody. You're not just fucking with United States. You're not just fucking with China. You're fucking with everybody.
In
You know,
everything. This affects everything. Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the gold market. Like this doesn't just affect home appliances and PC gaming and servers and this and that. No, it's affecting the gold market. Like affects currency.
yeah. Uh,
So, but so why does the lawsuit focus on DDR3 and DDR4, and not the newer models of memory. The lawsuit specifically covers the older DDR3 and DDR4 memory. And that's because those products have been on the market long enough for pricing data, production records, and sales history to be analyzed. Alleged damages must also fall within the legal time period covered by the lawsuit. DDR5 and especially DDR6 is simply too new for many of those legal questions to be answered. Yeah, then that just makes sense,
Yeah, I
honestly.
agree with you. I mean, it sucks, man. Like
Yeah.
we were just seeing markets fix themselves after we had that whole issue with the graphics cards for Bitcoin farming, and just as things started to be like, PC Master Race all the way, baby. Like it was one of the more competitive. You could build you could build a decent computer, a decent gaming computer for as much as you could build or as much as you could buy a PlayStation 4. You
If
know?
not cheaper.
Yeah. So like we were just getting to the point where PC was starting to become a competitive market for your average normal household. And then, uh, people start to get greedy and now RAM
And
is
then these
just
guys are
through the
like, hey,
roof.
wait a minute. How about instead of making this a competitive market, why don't we just stack the chips so we just make a shit ton of cash?
Yeah, people get
Well,
greedy, dude.
how about instead of that, you get locked up for 75 fucking years? You like that, buddy? You like that instead?
I agree. I think it should I think people need to go to court or go to jail for it. This
Oh,
is
for
dumb.
sure. I feel like their whole lives should be ruined over this type of shit. I'm sick of these monetary bullshit slaps on the wrist. No, lock these people up for the rest of their fucking lives.
Give them a reason to not want to do it. Like, I mean, okay, if Joe Schmo goes to court or goes to jail for, the whole company, I mean, that's not going to do
Mm-hmm.
anything for, the shareholders that, don't have to deal with it. But like, I wish it would come down on the people that it mattered to come down on, instead of, just having the fall guy. But what happens if the lawsuit is true? Consumers could receive financial compensation if the lawsuit succeeds. Mm, Manufacturers could face billions of dollars in damages, may be forced to change how they manage production. That is definitely going to happen. And then gaming hardware, if pricing is artificially inflated, future RAM prices could become more competitive, and gaming PCs and other hardware could become cheaper over time.
Well, yeah,
And
obviously they're gonna have to drop their fucking
they're going to have
shit
to drop
and
their prices again,
level out the
the
field.
market.
But that's hopefully jail time. Because like I said, how
What's
I
going to
don't
stop them from
understand.
getting the itch in another 5 years when everything is digital?
Well, I don't understand why an individual like Elizabeth Holmes, who scammed a bunch of businessmen into investing in her business, goes to jail for the rest of her life for fraud, right? But these guys who scam millions of people, billions of people to for profit, it's not considered financial fraud, and they don't see any jail time. It just doesn't make any sense to me. To me, it seems like this woman who scammed 10 people is going to jail for the rest of her life, but these guys who scammed billions of people,
For
they
multiple
not
years.
literally nothing happens to them. They don't even get fired from their job.
No.
In fact, if they did get fired from their job, they could all put on their resume that as executive of this corporation, that company saw an X% gain,
Mm-hmm. Well, and
on the
it's like
market.
we saw with the whole Subnautica thing, right? What happened to the guy who caused him all the problems? He's right back
Exactly.
in this place he was.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Exactly. There's no negatives for these people scamming us. And because of that, these companies are encouraged to scam us. And now you're seeing it from all angles. The HVAC market, egg market, the fucking RAM pricing market, and God knows what's going to come out in the next 5 years about how many companies have been fucking scamming the shit out of us.
Yeah.
But um, if you're tired of getting fucking scammed, let us know in the fucking comments down below. If you think this is all a conspiracy theory, I would love to hear your thoughts. And moving on to the next story.